Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night in the place to be. Welcome to the show. We got Tyler's Toxic Balls here in just a few minutes. But first and foremost, before we get to the show, shout out to my lovely wife, Takar. Y'all make sure y'all show us some love in the comments and don't stop there. Also show the channel some love. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button and Hulk smash that notification bell so you can get notifications each and every time we drop a video here on the channel. Let's handle some quick housekeeping stuff. First and foremost, follow us on Morph Market. Be on the lookout for everything we drop on Morph Market. Unless it say otherwise, price is negotiable. You won't know unless you ask. Closed mouth don't get fed. So definitely hit me up if you see something you like. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram as well. 2 pages, the @Herp Collectors page and the @Herp Collectors Network page. Make sure you follow them both. Also follow us on Facebook, also @Herp Collectors, and Clutch Conversations is available on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and more. So definitely tap in with us on the audio podcasting platforms. Like, share, and follow. Really appreciate that. And also, man, all of the other Herp Collectors Network shows are currently on Spotify, so definitely check them out. So we got the audio only versions for each of those respective shows on Spotify right now. In the coming days, we will have them rolled out to all the major podcasting platforms, but definitely tap in. Make sure you shoot us a follow, shoot us a rating, all that good stuff. Also check us out on clutchconversations.com. If you have not already, definitely go check out the website. Let me know what you think. Hit us up, let us know. Also make sure you follow the newsletter. We're gonna have some more stuff coming out soon, and we also gonna have a blog rolling out to you in the very, very near future. Make sure you support USARK and USARK Florida. The link for both of those organizations are in the description of this video. Definitely go get your membership if you don't have a membership already. They got membership levels at all kinds of price points, so find you some that works for you. But what's important is membership. Numbers matter, man. It's strength in numbers. So definitely make sure you're supporting both these organizations, both USARK and USARK Florida. Again, the link is in the description of the video. So definitely make sure you check that out. Also, make sure you check out Chondro Corner this Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sis Jen from Cigar City Exotics has Phil from Constrictly Business. Let's get down to Constrictly Business. Make sure you check this out this Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coming real soon. We got Morph Map with Tommy and Brian from Inky Clouds and Heathen Hatchery respectively. Make sure you check this out. We got this coming in the very, very near future. So be on the lookout for all the promo videos and stuff like that we're going to drop, and also be on the lookout for the announcement of the start date. You don't want to miss this. Morph Map is going to be your go-to destination for gene identification. So definitely check that out. And also make sure you check out the Double Clutch Patreon. If you're not part of the Double Clutch Patreon, make sure you're a part of it. We got 4 different tiers, man. We having a blast, man. Really building the family. So definitely check that out. We appreciate the support. And speaking of support, big shout out to the sponsors. We're going to get the sponsor videos, and then we'll be right back. If you're looking for a Patreon that teaches you about the business of ball python breeding, and you want to learn from an industry leader with a proven track record, then this is the Patreon for you. Ready to take your game to the next level? Join the KINOVA Patreon. You'll get deep dives into the latest genetics, breeding strategies, and market trends. Save time and money by leveraging the information provided in this Patreon. Memberships are currently available up to the student tier. Don't delay. Join the KINOVA Patreon today. Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life. In life, success doesn't come to you. You go to it. In this game, forward thinking is the key to innovation and staying relevant. Plan your work and work your plan. Lose yourself in the art. Lose yourself with wetter morphs. Big shout out to the sponsors. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. Big shout out to JNS Exotics. What's up, bro? Appreciate you coming out, homie. Santos in the building. Exotic A1 Pets. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. We got one half of the Conjure Corner duo, the homie Ro. What's up, fam? Appreciate you coming out, aka Mr. Floppy. We got the homie T Keys in the building. Whiskey Bomb Network representing. Appreciate you coming out, homie. We got Dun Dada in the building. What's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out. Big Will, what's up? The Python Portal. Appreciate you coming out. We got Sammy, Mr. 2% himself. Pink Panther in the building. What's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out. We got Daniel Berry Sports. What's good, homie? Big time supporter Patrick in the building. What's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out. We got Wifey Double Dipping. What's up? Love you. Appreciate you coming out. Who else we got in here tonight? We got the homie Morph Minded. If I can hit the comment, we got the homie Ash Morph Minded in the building. Appreciate you coming out, man. If y'all don't know about that Malice, matter of fact, I know ain't nobody in this chat that don't know about Malice, but make sure you telling everybody about Malice. I'm not gonna say hype it up because it don't need no hype, because the gene hype itself, the homie is working with some fire. So make sure you check that out and spread the word. The homie is doing big things and doing it the right way. We're gonna end it right there. We're gonna kick that intro video and then we'll be right back.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lady, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Episode 155, putting in the work with Tyler's Toxic Balls. What's good, homie? How you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good.
Man, it's good to see you. It's good to see you, man. It's been long overdue. And I'm not even just talking about the hurricane cancellation. Like, even before then, it was long overdue, man. So honored, so happy, so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on, man. I was just talking last night on my podcast about the hurricane cancellation. Was happy to hear get the text back. To get back on here. So
yeah, for sure, man. Like, that was crazy. I think that was the first hurricane, like the first big hurricane that we had like this year, or maybe it was the second, because I think we had 3, but let's just say it was the one before the last one. And the reports be like all over the place. You don't necessarily know what to expect. And I'm just like, man, like, am I going to be stuck in the hurricane, like trying to broadcast or what? I don't know. And so we ended up just canceling, man. I appreciate your flexibility, man. Appreciate your understanding. The next hurricane we had, I ended up doing a pre-recorded episode for that one. So just in case, like I learned from my mistakes, and man, just glad to have you back.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Cool, man. So everybody who in the chat now, I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat know exactly who you are, but just for the sake of somebody who might slap later, who might not know who you are, do the introduction real quick, man.
Yeah, so my name is Tyler from Tyler's Toxic Balls, breeder from Rochester, New York, so upstate Western New York between Buffalo and Syracuse, not towards the city. I've been breeding for 8 years now. Younger breeder. I'm 19 years old. I started doing this when I was 12, so I've been doing it for quite a while now. Collections roughly 500 animals now, and yeah,
Oh wow.
we're doing pretty good. Everything's been on the up and up for the past few years, so that's where I'm
So
sitting
is this your 8th breeding season, or at what point did you start breeding?
at. I got my first clutches when I was 12, and I'll be 20 in January.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept them as pets since I got my first when I was like 7, just as a pet, and then kept buying them, and then started getting my first clutches. First season was when I was 12. I got 2 clutches.
Oh, nice. So did you go into this like thinking you were going to breed, or you were just a keeper and then kind of caught that breeding bug?
Yeah, no, it was definitely that. Like I got them as pets and just kept buying them as pets until I had like 20. Got really like locked into the breeding scene when I was about like 10. Started watching a lot of like old Barcheck videos and like Nerd and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna try and breed just for fun and see if I can do it. And once I like got my first 2 clutches, I was like, okay, we're gonna just keep doing this. I never thought I would be as big as I am right now. But yeah, it definitely just started from liking them as pets, and now it's turned into a full-time gig right now.
So some of those early videos that you watched, did you ever get a chance to like meet anybody? Like, have you met Kevin? Did you get an opportunity to meet Brian?
Yeah, I met Kevin, I think it was 2 Tinleys ago. And I've met him actually a few times, but he's New England, so I do a show in New Hampshire. I think it's like 3 or 4 times a year. He doesn't vend, but he just goes up there. So I met him probably in 21 for the first time. And then we got to really talk at Tinley last spring. And Brian, I was able to meet right before it was the Tinley right after he was diagnosed. So I think he was diagnosed in February and then came to March Tinley. I met him there briefly, but never really got to chat with him too much. But
Gotcha. What was that like? Like you said, you got the opportunity. You chat with Kevin. So how was that like in terms of these are like guys that you started off the game with, like really like seeing their videos and like they were the ones that motivated you in a lot of ways. So what was it like getting the opportunity to kind of chop it up? In the opportunities you did get to chop it up.
Yeah, no, when I met Brian, it was surreal. I went up to him and I'm not very like starstruck from people, but for him, I was, pretty nervous. Went up, got a handshake, talked to him for, 2 minutes, gave him the whole, like, you got me into this thing. And so that was definitely a great conversation to have. And I'm very happy I was able to meet him before he did pass. And Kevin is the few times I've been able to get to talk to him have been crazy. Just the information he spits out on like some genetics. Like I'll talk to him about a New Hampshire show. Okay, like this snake. And he's like, oh, I got, X, Y, and Z gene that does the same thing here. And I've worked this for so long, how he keeps some things. So some of the limited conversations I've had with Kevin have been pretty interesting, just how much stuff he knows about everything.
Yeah, he definitely knows a lot about reptiles and stuff like that. But I feel you though, like I'm not the type of person that's starstruck or anything like that. But I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity back in October to interview Lori Barcheck. And that was super cool, man. I told her afterwards, I was like, man, it's been a minute, like, because I've been doing this like 2.5 years, probably at that point, almost 3. It's been a minute since I've been like nervous during the interview. And she's like, you didn't show it. And but yeah, it was just very, very, very like you hear all these stories about Lori and stuff like that, and like knowing like what sort of pioneers they are like with a lot of this stuff, and then just getting the opportunity to sit down and chat with her, that was just super dope, right? And I was like, I don't want to mess this up, so I want to do a good job.
No, I've never I never got to talk to her when I met Brian. She wasn't with him. She was running around somewhere else. Then she did come back to Tinley after he passed and did the whole thing at the auction, which was pretty intense.
I can
She's
imagine.
she's running the ship now, and she's doing a good job. So I couldn't imagine, what they're still going through over there. But yeah, they got me in and a ton of other people in, and it was crazy to get to meet Brian before he passed.
Yeah, and she's super cool, super laid back and approachable. Like checks off all those boxes. So you said you have 500 in the collection. Is that like breeders, or is that breeders, holdbacks, and
That's
hatchlings and stuff growing up? Okay.
Yeah, everything. Breeders, holdbacks, and babies. I usually between the year will fluctuate between like 3 and 5 with hatchlings. I think right now we have close to 200. I think we're in like 190, and then we have 2 clutches left in the incubator to cut, so we'll hit the 200 mark on babies. So yeah, we're I think 490 on husbandry right now.
490.
So, yeah, so
Big
right
shout out to
around.
Husbandry Pro.
Yeah, yes, yes. I don't know what I'd do without Husbandry Pro. I'd be lost.
How many clutches you had? Like clutch count?
I did 30 this year, 22 last year. This 25, I'll see. I'm still debating on how many I'm going to want to do.
What do you think your max is?
How many I could produce compared to like how many I want to produce is what I'm trying.
How many you want to produce?
Yeah. Right now 30 was pretty good. I think I can do more. So this season I might shoot for like 50 or 60 and see how that feels. I've stepped it up. I think I 10, 22, 30. And again, the workload just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So 30 is pretty good. So we'll see how 40 or 50 feels, and then just keep going from there. Like I can't say I want 200 clutches because I have no clue what a quarter of that feels like. So I'm trying to fight in my head right now because I have like about 120 girls that I could pair this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to pair all of them. I'm going to sell some breeders and not pair every single snake I have. So I'm trying to figure out, if I pair 90 and I get 50 clutches or something like that, I'll probably feel really good for 25.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I don't have, what was your number, 120? I think is what you said. I don't have that many, but I do got about 71 girls that could be on the roster for 2025 season. But I definitely don't want to pair that many girls because I don't want like that many clutches. I don't know what my number is, but I know every time we increase the number, obviously it's like more work. And so I got to figure out like a sweet spot with available resources, primarily time resources. And so I don't know what my exact number is. So I have whittled down that list significantly, and I want to focus on like certain girls. It's some girls that I'm gonna probably list in the future, and then it's some other girls I'm just not gonna worry about pairing them this year because I'm not quite ready to let them go. I am kind of sentimental with my big girls. I don't want to let them go, but some of these girls like can really like bode well for me in the future, put with specific males, and I got stuff that I know is cooking, and so I just want to make sure that I have those soldiers in place for when the time comes.
Yeah, I think that's where last season was the first time I really sold adult females in numbers. Nothing special, a lot of like single gene, 2 genes, couple hets here and there. This year I'm going to do probably a very similar thing, and there's going to be a lot of females that I don't pair that I'm going to hold on to just right until I either buy or produce the right male that makes them lay a clutch that I'm super excited about. But yeah, this is going to be 25 is going to be the first season that I am no longer in school and do not have a job. So this will be a full-time gig for 25 along with rodents. So we'll see. I have a lot more time on my hands now than I used to. So 30 clutches is really more manageable now that I'm not in school. And 50, I feel like, is going to be the same way. But I never know. I can't say, how I'm going to feel until they get there. That's why I don't want to go from 30 to 100, even if I could. Like it just, I don't want to get to 100 and be like, this was a mistake, and as long as I can take care of them I hit stuff that I like and I can sell them. Like if those 3 things work, then it works. Like I hit, I think 160 babies last year or something like that, and I have 10 left. So as long as I can take care of them and sell them, then we're good. Once I hit that spot where it's like, oh, I hit 50 clutches and I got 70 left from last year, maybe it's like, okay, let's not do 50.
Yeah, let's reevaluate things.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart move not to wait till you get to 100. And to be like, I don't think this was the move. Nah, it's too late. Yeah. But yeah, man, I totally feel you on like just kind of chunking it, if that makes sense, and seeing like what you can handle. And that's my plan as well, because I don't want to overdo it, because it's one thing with like some tasks where like lives and livelihood not involved, but we're talking about live animals. And so the last thing I want to do is like overburden myself to the point to where I can't see to the animal's needs. You know what I mean? And so I definitely want to be super conservative with that.
Yeah, selling snakes and rats is different than selling quilts. So, you got to be attentive all the time. You don't get as much, at least myself, I don't get as much time with like my girlfriend as I want to, or I don't go out to parties. It's snakes, rats. That's what I do. And I'm happy with that, but you can't take 3 or 4 day break and not have anyone check the rats or even come and check the snakes. So if I can't do it, then you gotta find someone to do it, which is hard.
Big facts, big facts. Is your dad's helping with it too as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So he still has a full-time job. Since I left school and don't have a job, I have been doing as much of the work as I can. Pretty much, he's been non-existent with the work, which is kind of what I like. Getting as much work off his plate so he can focus on some of the other things going on with his life. But yeah, it's definitely me and dad are partners. So it's definitely nice having him sometimes to come and clean rats mostly is what we do.
Yeah.
A lot together. But clean snakes, ultrasound snakes, pull clutches, do all it's fun to do with your dad.
Having multiple people on the rodents, man, it's a lifesaver. It is a lifesaver. I mean, you can do it by yourself, but do you really want to? Not really.
No, it was actually a crazy week last week. We cleaned our entire rat room in like 5 hours. Usually, like me and dad, it takes 8 to 10. And my grandpa came over, my dad's dad, sat there, filled bins, and that just him, one hand filling bins, shaved it, to 5 hours. We killed it. So having any extra hands makes the work, 2 times easy. 2 times easy.
Yeah, because you can set up a system and just run with it and just be like going. It definitely helps, like big time. So what for this coming breeding season?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, are you like a year-round kind of guy? Do you have like a set period where like maybe most of your volume comes?
It's a little of both. I mean, most of my stuff comes in one period. So like this year I cut 12 clutches in a month. I went pretty late, and once stuff started laying, I think 30 out of 30 clutches, like 25 were laid in 2 months. But I still have 2 in the incubator, and like my first clutch was laid in like March. So there's like straggler clutches here and there, but the more animals I get, the more year round it's going. But it's still like a 2 to 3 month gap where like mostly everything is laying. Right now I'm starting to do some pairings for 25. Just started doing that like 2 weeks ago, and I've got a ton of girls between like 10 and 15 millimeters, and only like a couple in the 20s. So I'll get some early season clutches from like the girls in the 20s getting locks. But yeah, usually a lot of my stuff's coming late spring, early summer, being laid, and then hatched out late summer, early fall.
Gotcha. That's how I feel like my production is shifting in terms of being more year round. Like I got similar to you, I got some girls that I know are gonna be laying like in the early part of 2025. I got some eggs on the ground, well, eggs in the incubator that won't hatch until 2025, but I still got like some girls that will lay January, February 2025. And so it seems like I'm gonna have like stuff kind of year round, but the majority of it is gonna come towards that latter part of the year. So yeah, definitely shifting to more like of a year round cycle with having more clutches. Like it used to just be like a one-off clutch, right? Like I have like one clutch in April and then nothing else until like August. But now it seems like it's gonna spread throughout the year.
I'm curious to see how this year goes. Out of the 30 clutches I did, I think 25 of the females were unproven. So for first time girls. So almost I think I got 3 clutches out of the 70 rack, and 90% of these are proven girls. So I'm curious to see, like, these are girls that they'll just bump up to 15 and never see a male. You'll pair them twice and they're good. Last year they just needed a year off. So I'm curious to see if I get some more early season clutches out of my like multi-time proven females. And then I might have 2 waves, like a February to like March, February to May, kind of like 20 clutches, 30 clutches. And then some of the girls that just laid their first clutches this season, 6-8 months from now, they'll be getting, back up and getting paired and lay later season clutches. So I might have like an early season bulk and then a late season bulk. I think that would be really nice if it worked out like that. But I don't know. I've never had almost all of my proven girls not go. So I'm excited. I could get 50 or 60 clutches this year.
What projects are you pushing heavy this year?
The big one is Monarch. So and it's Monarch with everything. Literally everything. So we got into Monarch in 21, straight up Monarch male. Used Posset Pied, didn't prove. But since I got that boy kind of on a whim, got him in my hands, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a bad problem for me. So
you said back in 21?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And we got him in, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be bad. I'm going to need way too many Monarchs in my collection. And now I have a ton. So we have, I might do like 15 clutches of Monarch stuff, and they'll all be double hets, triple hets, visual double het stuff with I have a pastel Monarch G-stripe male. I have a straight up Monarch male. And recently, I haven't posted them anywhere, but I bought a breeder male Fire Monarch Pied.
Okay.
So those 3 boys are going to be rotating to some other females to make some hats, single visual, double hats, triple hats. Like I have the G-stripe pastel Monarch. Right now, he locked up with a GHI Entry Lesser Sulfur Hypo. So
okay.
And then the Monarch Pied's actually locked up with a Super GHI Pastel Hypo.
Gotcha. So what was it about Monarch that had you saying, man, I gotta have this?
It was actually, I didn't know I needed Monarch until I got it. So it really fell into my lap with back in 21. We purchased a collection from breeder Liz and Kyle from KE Royal Reptiles. People probably have never heard of them by now, but they were a pretty big breeder right outside, about 30 minutes outside of Chicago. And they bred for 15 years, wanted to sell out and just travel the country. Young people too, they'd done it forever. But we went and purchased their whole collection, and they were at that point one of the biggest Monarch producers in the country. It was like them and the Harbins. If you look up a ton of Monarch stuff, they're right next to the Harbins. So how the collection split kind of worked is I bought everything, and then Troy from Best Dressed Balls bought the whole Monarch project. So I didn't get any Monarchs when we bought their collection. They sold technically those collections separately. We had a problem in transit bringing them back from Illinois to Rochester and lost like 25, 30 snakes. I think it was like 33 snakes in transit, which wasn't our fault, wasn't their fault. It was just mistakes, right? And
what exactly happened, if you don't mind talking about it?
Yeah, that was very traumatic. We packed them up in styrofoam coolers, holes, all good. And we had them packed in bags and pretty much put too many in bags in a cooler, and they didn't crush each other. But what happened was, like one's on the like top level peed, and it fell down, and pretty much the snake suffocated. At all the snakes on like the bottom suffocated. So it was horrible. I still have the picture in my phone that I had to send to them like after I got back, and there was, I think it was about 200 plus snakes in that collection that we got, and you know, for 30 of them to be dead, and a lot of them were quite nice, really sucked. I unboxed them. I unboxed them, and I realized there was a problem, so I was pretty much tossing snakes, ripping snake bags open, getting snakes set up as quickly as possible, and I just like broke down. Like, it was one of the worst days of my life.
I can imagine, bro. That sucks.
You know, it wasn't just, you know, the money spent on the collection. It was, oh my God, I took all the blame on myself. I was like, I should have known, you know, should have done this, should have done that. Looking back now, it's like, you didn't know. No one knew. You know, if the animals didn't eat for 2 weeks before, it would have been fine. Like, your packing style would have been fine. But, you know, they ate. So if they peed or pooped, it just soaked down to the bottom, and the snakes on the bottom passed away. So after that happened, we reached out to Liz and Kyle, kind of told them what happened. Weren't looking for reimbursement, really. We just wanted to let them know. And they're great people. We were friends well before we bought the collection. Said, hey, you know, let me give Troy a call. And I said, okay. So they called up Troy and reimbursed me with a Monarch 50% het pied male, a het Monarch female, and actually another female that wasn't Monarch related, but just hatched out when I went and bought the collection. So I couldn't bring it home. It was literally 3 days old, but I fell in love with it. So a few months later, Troy shipped all those to me, and that's how I got into the Monarchs at the start. And like I said, like once I got him in my hands, he was whatever, 300 grams, sitting at like 2,000 grams right now. Just the bigger he got, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. And started throwing him into a few different projects once he got to size last year.
Of those Monarch projects that you listed off, like which one excites you the most? Like, what do you think is like kind of the tip top Monarch project in your collection?
Monarch Clown Pied and Monarch Hypo Clown are gonna be some big ones for me. I produced some triple hets Monarch Clown Pieds this year, and my triple het clutch for Monarch Hypo Clowns did not go. The female got up to 20 and reabsorbed. So you know, that one was a real kick. But those two are going to be my big ones. But also Monarch G-Stripe Clown, Monarch Hypo Pied, I'm kind of interested to see, especially with some dark genes. I want to get GHI as one pairing. I love the GHI Monarch stuff that Troy's made. Feely and like Zach from Pied's Life has produced some nice GHI Monarch stuff. So I wanted that in GHI Monarch Pied, GHI Monarch G-Stripe, floating that around. But yeah, the big ones are going to be Monarch Clown Pied, Monarch Hypo Clown.
Gotcha. No one's made a Monarch Hypo Clown yet, have they?
As far as I know, they haven't. I don't even know people with like triple hats like that. I guarantee. Oh yeah. Is it Wetter Morpheus like LLC had or something has
Morphs Constrictors?
It might be them. Has someone has a triple hat male available like breeder size, but I haven't seen.
Okay, it's not Morph Constrictors.
God,
unless he's holding out on
me. He's got Monarch stuff though, right? Like I've seen him post some Monarch stuff.
Morph Constrictors, yeah. Steven from Morph, yeah, he's got Monarch stuff. Like he got some Monarch stuff from, I think he got some from Tom.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some guy, and I'm so good with Morph Market usually, but he has a triple het Monarch Hypo Clown male, like breeder size available. But when I like go to his Instagram or his Morph Market, there's no females like posted anywhere. So he definitely has them, but hasn't produced any visuals yet. Justin, I know, hasn't. I got in a nice talk with him about, well, Chase, about his Monarch Clown stuff. I'm super excited to see the one they just produced. But and Monarch Hypo still very limited. There's only been one I've ever heard of. Well, two, same clutch in Europe were produced, I think, last season.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, I feel you on those girls getting big and then reabsorbing. It's the worst, man. It's just like I worked the Ultra Male Kiki project.
Yep.
And so I thought my girl, because she got up to like 27 millimeters and she reabsorbed on me. And in fact, like she had shed. And I was thinking to myself, like, did I miss ovulation? Is this the prelay shed? So I'm thinking like she fitting to go. And then like I ultrasound her, she's still at 27. Like I had convinced myself she was about to go up until that ultrasound. And then she's at 27 still. I'm like, what's going on? And then like the next time I ultrasound her, she had dropped. I was like, no. Because I was going to have like, it was going to be a solid clutch. It was going to be a super easy to ID clutch because it was Ultra Male Clown to Black Pastel Ultra Male G-Stripe female. So it's either going to be Ultra Male double head or Black Pastel Ultra Male double head. Like couldn't have messed up the IDs on those. But she didn't go, man. So hopefully she goes for me this year, man, because now she got me a year behind on that project.
Yeah, that I had literally the exact same thing happen. And usually I don't get, too excited and stop ultrasounding or just, leave females alone. But yeah, two of my Monarch animals, I had a Fire Monarch bred to a Super NGOD Hypo Clown. So that's the triple het clutch that reabsorbed. And then I just had that original pair from Troy, a het Monarch to a Monarch. Female was at 30. Few weeks, they got a lock. Few weeks later, she went into shed. And I thought the same thing. I missed the ovulation prelay shed. Didn't touch her for, once they, go into a prelay shed, I let them sit there for like 30 days. I don't feed them. I'll check on them occasionally. But I went back. I was like, okay, it's been 40 days now. No clutch. It's been 45 days. No clutch. And I was feeding. And I was like, here's her rat. She smacked her rat. And I was like, you suck. And I guarantee you, she was still at 30 when she shed. And I could have, maybe paired her again and really got to it. But I slacked off because I was like, oh, she was at 30. She got a pair. I waited a few weeks. She went into shed.
Yeah, but you start thinking about all the stuff you could have done, you should have done, like
yeah, dude. That was two of my big Monarch clutches. That was my first chance to make visuals. So yeah, two of my Monarch clutches this year did not go very well. But
it happens though. It definitely happens, man. I hate it. It seems like it's always the ones that are most anticipated for, right? Like all my top parents is the ones that like give me the most stress along the way. For example, I got like this chocolate Huffman leopard. Did I get it right? Yeah, chocolate Huffman leopard double head hypo clown. I paired her to a vanilla dark night head hypo, and she been sitting at like 27 is my number. Like if I see 27 on the ultrasound, I might as well just pack it up. But no, she been sitting at 27 for months now. It feels like. And so I moved her to, because she was in a 70 series tub, I moved her to a 40 series tub. And I'm gonna see if that do the trick. If not, she need to just go on and reabsorb and stop playing with my emotions. Like just go and do it. You're gonna do it, just do it.
I don't have most anticipated clutches anymore. Like for 25, I'm not doing a most anticipated clutch because this is the 4th season straight, my most anticipated clutch reabsorbed. So my most anticipated clutch for 2 straight years was this clown pied female I have back here paired to a Monarch male, reabsorbed 2 years straight. And then I went, not my most anticipated anymore. It's going to be my Fire Monarch to the Super NGOD Hypo Clown. She reabsorbed the clown pied late. I'm like, I don't have any more anticipated clutches. We're done. Whatever I pick, I'm going to pick a yellow belly to a normal. It's my most
That's my most anticipated clutch. I can't wait.
I can't do it anymore. They play with my emotions.
So we already tapped into like one major challenge too. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, like we'll say, like you're a young OG, you've been in the game for a minute, like 8 years, 8, 9 years. And so I imagine through that time period, you had like a lot of ups and downs and stuff like that. So we already talked about one, but like let's maybe start with some of the things that were like maybe challenges that you learned stuff from. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs, way more ups than downs. So I'll take that. But one thing, it's not really like a specific moment in time, like something happened down, but it's, when I first got in and wanted to start breeding, I'll call it around like 10 to 12 years old is when I started like buying stuff for the specific purpose to get clutches. I would but go to some local shows and, talk to breeders, try and either purchase or try and purchase from breeders. And I would almost be pushed aside, which was tough for me. I'm a 10 or 12-year-old kid, and it happened probably until I was up to like 14 or 15 years old. You'd be talking to breeders who have bred for 20 years, as 15-year-old kids coming up to you wanting to buy a snake for whatever, $1,000, and you kind of just push them aside, give them no attention. And for me, that was a big reason on like how I do shows now, is I'm trying to spend time with people who come up to the table, no matter if you're 8 years old or like a 70-year-old grandma, because I one of my best customers is a 70-year-old grandma. She's awesome. But that was one challenge, prolonged challenge I went through like pretty early on. And when I turned 15, 16, 17, the older I get, and now the people who I really want to know me, at least kind of know who I am, and I'm a little bit more well known, so I don't get thrown to the side too much anymore. But yeah, as a young person trying to get in, it was interesting. Oh, you don't want to talk to me? I'm going to go buy from the table right next to you 3 or 4 snakes, and I just walk them by your table 3 or 4 times. Like that happened many times. I'd go to a Rexpo in Rochester and buy 8 snakes, and the people who spent time with me, walked me through some things, answered my questions. Yeah, I'd buy from you if you had good stuff, obviously. And if you had good stuff and you gave me no time of day or were short, yeah, no, I'm just not going to buy from you. That was but a nice experience to have now, to know like people deserve attention, because you never know when, that 12-year-old kid, what they, might achieve in the future. And now a lot of people who were not very nice or gave me no time of day, they don't breed anymore, kind of thing. And it's like, well, I do still. So that's a life lesson I learned.
Yeah, you got to be nice to everybody, and not just because you might make a sale, but like just as a general rule, like there's no reason to be like an asshole, you know what I mean? So why not just treat people how you want to be treated, you know what I mean? And that's in every walk of life, not just business. So when you walk by them and like you had like the bags of snakes, did they ever side eye you and just look like surprised, like, oh snap, he was for real?
There was one like specific that I remember where, again, this was at local Rochester Expo. I think it was like a pair of clowns, probably in 2018. So it was, a while ago, 6 years ago now. And I was talking to a breeder. He had a decent pair of clowns. Might have been like an Enchi clown and a 2-gene clown female or something. And I tried to talk to him. Hey, what did you do to produce the, like, what's the parents? What's trying to get information. He would just either not answer, give me the shortest answer and run off to someone else, and like literally just give me no time. And so what I did was pretty much, he was table here. I went to the end cap, talked to the guy at the end cap. He had, 2 or 3 animals I liked. We bought those and then kept walking around the show, walked by his booth a few times. He saw I had some animals, and then he called me back. He was like, oh, like, you still like those? You still want to talk about them? I was like, I spent all I have. I'm good. And actually, it's funny. I saw that guy for like one more local show, and I haven't seen him ever again. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. Like right when you see that I actually bought stuff, now you call me over to to come buy snakes from you.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That would feel good. I'd be like, yeah.
Like, no, I'm all right. I got 3, and I probably got another one that day. I don't even know. There'd be times I bought 6, 7 snakes on an expo just because I felt like it.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Like, hey, yo, bro, like, you still interested in this snake? I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I was interested. I'm all out of money now. Sorry. I got these though.
Yeah, that was definitely a good one. And again, it's another lesson. Like, oh, you gotta, if you want to make sales at shows, spend your time with people, and it could pay off. Like the reason I didn't buy stuff from him was that, and if you come back and don't act desperate, but like he seemed desperate. Like, yo, come back. I didn't think of it at the time like he seemed desperate or anything like that. But looking back now, like you're begging me to come back now after I bought multiple animals from other people because you weren't very cool. Yeah.
Hey, you live and you learn. Do you think like that customer service approach? I know you mentioned like your best customer is like a 70-year-old lady, but do you think that overall that customer service approach has got you like a lot of repeat customers?
I have a decent amount of repeat customers. The one thing I do like is most of my repeat customers don't buy one and then come buy another one and then wait 10 months and buy another one. I've had, repeat customers. There's a kid very local to me. He actually just got his first clutch. His name's Alex. Shout out, Alex.
Big shout out to Alex. Hey, Lex.
In like 12 months, he's probably bought, 11, 12 snakes from me and snakes from other people. It's, you're the only guy I'm buying snakes from. I get all your information. I'll teach you how to do this. I'll teach you how to do that. Like I'm mentoring him now. And
that's dope.
Same thing with that couple actually in St. Louis, the older couple, they're awesome. Almost every show I see them at, they're buying something from me. Like, so I feel like those kind of customers I have a decent amount of. I don't have a ton of people who buy one and come back and buy one and then like never speak to again. I'm very connected with a lot of people that if you buy a snake from me and you want to stay connected, I'm free, like call me, text me, all that stuff, and we'll build a relationship. I'm very confident, very happy with the way I try and build relationships with people, give information. I'm very proud of that.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Hey, we're gonna take a quick sponsor break. So y'all stick with us, but when we come back, we can talk about the wins.
Perfect.
Known for his innovative approach to genetic shed testing and top quality ball pythons, Grey Rider Reptiles also excels in exceptional customer service and responsiveness. With a quick turnaround time, Charlie ensures you get the service you want and need. Visit shedtesting.com to explore his offerings and experience the best in the business. Don't miss out. Head to shedtesting.com today and unlock the power of your breeding projects.
Peace and love, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory Reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory Reptiles.
Appreciate you, fellas. Really appreciate the sponsors. Y'all make sure y'all check out shedtesting.com. Be sure to check out the homie Jason from Ancestral Royal Pythons, man. He's producing some heat, man. So if you don't know, you better find out, man. Go check him out. And also check out the homie Matt. You know, he's doing big things over there too with that paint stuff. Man, he got paint clown project girls for days. So definitely go check it out, man. Hit him up. It's on his Morph market now. Also got some stuff in the Quiet project, man. The Hypo DG clown pie stuff. So make sure you check that stuff out as well, man. Big shout out to everybody for sticking with us. Everybody that was here before the break is still here, and we actually gained a few, man. So big shout out to y'all. Y'all the real MVPs. Back to you, bro. Talk about the wins.
God, there's a good amount. I think this is kind of cliche, but the biggest win is just sitting where I'm at right now. I always, through my life, I've struggled a lot with anxiety, depression. You know, I got ADHD, OCD, all that stuff. So there's been periods in my life where I've been very down. But I try and always remind myself, dude, if you told 12-year-old self you'd have this many snakes, be doing this in business, produce these, have like all these good things that are going on in my life. That's the biggest win for me, is to just be able to do that, sit back and say, dude, you got to take in the moment where you're at right now. It's a little cliche, but that's probably the biggest win I have in my life right now, is to just be where I'm at. Specific points. There was one pretty big one this year, and it got hindered down a little bit, but the first big project I ever bought into, Clown Pied, I think 4 years ago now, I bought some Clown Pied stock, and they have been able and ready to breed for 3 years now. But I finally this season produced my first ever Clown Pied.
Oh, nice. Big congrats.
So it's female leopard Clown Pied. They're not worth what they used to be, or you can find them all over the place now, but I'm keeping it. That's it. That was a big milestone for me, to really the first exact, breeder project I bought into, to see a little bit of return and hit what I've wanted to hit now for 3 years now. Was pretty exciting to do. I think if you find the clutch cutting on my Instagram, I was pretty excited. Might have let out, a couple like swear words in there, but
maybe a couple.
I was very excited, even though again they're not quite the leading edge anymore, but I still love them. They're still probably one of my favorite projects I have. Mixing some new stuff in too. Other highs, I think we're about to enter a new one, right? So this is a low we're in right now, but about to hit a high. So we should be moving into a commercial property here, facility in the next 6 months.
Oh, nice.
So, right, we were not planning on doing it at all. This is brand new news since Thursday. We had a meeting with the town of Ogden, which is where I live, and we were gonna put up pretty much a pole barn out back to breed some rats in. People were not very happy with that. So the meetings did not go very well. Went about as bad as possible. So now we cannot breed snakes or rats in our house. And so that was a real kick on Thursday and Friday. I was very down. But since then, we've been looking at some properties to go and look at. And kind of, most of this stuff will be out of the house, which is good and bad. But we're expanding like crazy right now, mostly on the rat side. Hoping to do some really big things there. So I'm looking at it as a high. We'll be out of the house now, getting into a spot where it is, 5-6 hours a day work there every day, fun stuff like that, which is again a point where since I started breeding at 12, this is literally all I've ever wanted to do. I've had odd jobs here and there. My first ever job was cleaning rat bins for one of the largest rodent breeders in New York, to help supplement and feed my snakes. So there's nothing that makes me happier than to be going full time into this right now. So that's a pretty big high.
Nice, man. Big congrats on that too. Have you thought about like the whole moving process and stuff like that? And kind of how you
Yeah.
gonna map that out?
Yeah. So the plan right now, at least, is for all the rats are gonna move to this spot first. The biggest like nick we got from the town was inventory and selling stuff out of your house. So they like service-based businesses, lawyers, accountants, I guess doctors. You can be in your house, but if you have inventory and are producing stuff and selling them out of your house, they have a problem with it. So right now we are gonna move, and when we have the space, all like the for sale animals, and we still have meetings to do with lawyers and all that other fun stuff. But all of our like for sale inventory and all the rats are going to probably move to the new property. And
Okay.
our goal is to be able to keep all the breeding stock here, because I would hate to move the breeding stock. Obviously, anyone who has moved knows how that goes. So, when we did purchase the collection in 21, was it 21 or 20? It might have been super late 20, but we brought everything home and a ton of stuff didn't go. When you're moving adult girls, throws them off, you usually, 90% of your girls will skip a season.
Right.
So that's definitely something I want to avoid. And there's some things we're going to, try and do to work around that if we do have to move the breeder stock. But the goal is to have pretty much breed everything here, hatch everything here, get their first few meals in here. And then kind of once they get that 6 or 7 meal target, which is where I try and, list them on Morph Market, bring them to shows, they'll move to the new spot when they're for sale. So we will have nothing for sale here, so we shouldn't get nicked by the time.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like the process of moving like everything is definitely challenging, and it's definitely logistics and stuff you got to work around. So like that's a process in and of itself, like breaking down everything, getting everything packed and ready to go, getting everything loaded, getting everything unloaded, setting it up, getting it set up, getting everything dialed in. Like it's a lot of stuff you gotta like think through. And we moved our stuff like probably about 14 or so months ago. We moved like last October in 2023. We moved into a facility, and it was across town, probably about halfway between like where I live and where I work. So not that far distance wise, but traffic wise can make it like totally different depending on what time of day. But I was thinking through like the logistics of how I moved the collection, because for a minute I was kind of like sold and stuck on I don't want to move the breeders and whatnot because of that very same reason, because I didn't want stuff to reabsorb. I didn't want to throw the girls off. But then I start thinking about my bandwidth based on like my current circumstances with like having to work and stuff like that, and then having to be like basically having 2 setups at 2 different places. I just got to think about it. I say, man, I'm gonna rip the band-aid off. I'm gonna take it on the chin this year and then just move forward to have everything set up for the following year. And in hindsight, I'm super glad I did that, just because I know I would have probably been pulling my hair out if I had to go back and forth. But it sounds like your situation probably a little bit different than mine was, given that you're doing it full time. And so you got like a different kind of like math to do. And so it just really, it's like anything in life. It's like your particular circumstances dependent, like even like husbandry and stuff like that. Like the way I'm saying I do stuff in Florida don't necessarily work for you all the way up in New York, or it don't work for somebody on the West Coast. You feel me?
Yeah, I gotta spray my bins probably a lot more than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other kind of workaround we were thinking about with moving breeder stock would be 25, we're gonna do all the breeding here, and then have a 55 or a 70 over there. So once a female lays, you get her washed up, bam, she's in the new facility. Yeah. So eventually all of our breeder stock will move there, kind of thing. Like there's 2 different routes to do that. Either we keep everything here. I really don't want to move everything breeder stock wise. I really just don't want to move all the breeders right now. Again, we don't have a specific spot right now. We're meeting with realtors on a few places, but with how the collection move in the first place went, just breeding wise, it from first year to second year, it killed us. The first year, kind of with moving everything from Illinois to here, it threw so many animals off, which at that point was fine. It wasn't a crazy gig to have, and going from 10 clutches to 15 clutches was fine, or whatever, 5 clutches to 15 clutches. Okay, like I can do that. But now I don't want to go from 30 to 10.
Yeah, it's different now.
Yeah, and especially it being a primary source of income
is
different. And the pairings, skipping some pairings back then would be okay. They're 1 or 2 codon pairings with a het. Now it's these are a very, very important project pushing pairings for myself, and for specific projects in the industry. It's like if I miss these, I come from the first person to make these to the 5th kind of deal if I just miss 1 year. So there's a lot more stakes to moving breeder stock now. So our 2 options are going to be keeping everything here to breed, or breed this season here, and then once females start laying, moving them over there. And maybe that also means like my holdbacks or females and males that are 800 grams or whatever move over there now, so they have a year to raise there as well. But again, all of this has been it's literally been a week. It's Thursday now, so last Thursday was the meeting where we were told, yep, you can't do this anymore. So we can and we will continue to breed snakes, breed rats, and do what we are doing. It's just going to be a little bit different.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, it's definitely different. I thought about that same plan as well, as far as like breeding them, and then once they have a clutch, get them back going and then move them over. That's the route that I was gonna take, like when I was gonna do it like piecemeal. But like I said, I just ended up going a different way. But yeah, I totally understand like your circumstances, you know what I mean? And definitely you don't want to miss out on those projects, because you don't want to go from being the first to the 5th. Fifth don't hit the same as first. So I totally feel you for sure. But yeah, man, big congrats on the upgrade, man. That's super dope. I realized that it wasn't necessarily expected circumstances, but it's a growth opportunity as well. And I do want to rewind a little bit, circle back to something you said earlier too, as far as like being, what did you say, cliche or whatever, or whatever word you use to describe it. But no, man, I don't even think it's cliche, right? Like I think people need to actually, you know what I'm saying, lean into that more, because it's super easy to like look around and just only focus on the bad things. Like this can be going wrong, that can be going wrong, and so it's easy to focus on those, but that's not what is as important as like some of the small things, like this is right, that's right, this is right. Like it's so many more things that you can be like thankful for, versus that 1 or 2 things that's pissing you off at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, before I said that, I was a very pessimistic individual, young teen, whatever. I am very happy with where I'm at right now, to be able to look at the positives, because that meeting that we had on Thursday, if that happened 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I wouldn't be on 3 podcasts this week. I wouldn't be functioning well. But to know, I went to sleep pretty, not sad, but just actually pissed off, to Friday, it's okay, what do we do? Next steps. And now it's just like, yeah, we're good. We're gonna figure it out. And being able to switch my mindset over the past few years to look at the positive stuff has made my life better, has made the breeding snakes, doing the rats, literally everything in my life has been better. You just got to switch the mindset a bit.
Absolutely, bro. It's all about mindset, bro. And that's super powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah. That's true.
So shows and stuff this year. What all shows you planning to vend? Like start with the big shows, or whatever order you want to go in, bro. But what all shows you planning to vend this year?
Yeah, that's funny. Yesterday I was just working on our show list for 25. Haven't gotten it all finished, but we usually do White Plains, New Hampshire, Rexpo. Those are like our staples. They're like
You say
three or
Rexpo?
Rexpo. That's our local Rochester show.
Okay.
It's a great show. I think if you're in the New York, PA, like Ohio, Northeast region, you should come. I don't think it's a show you should travel 8 or 10 hours for, but if you're, 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive from it, it's a great show. That's probably my favorite. We live 10 minutes away, so it's great. White Plains, New York, which used to be just one of the biggest shows in the country, and New Hampshire. We do those multiple times a year. We're looking at adding some new shows now. The big ones are probably, again, I got to talk to both of these guys, but Troy's doing at least 2 of Troy's shows. Probably the North Carolina show, at least 1 North Carolina show, and his Kansas City show.
Okay.
Vending those or trying to vend those. And I would really like to vend, haven't reached out to him at all, but Bob's show. I know it's coming up in like a couple months, so not that one, but the following one I think is September, October time. So
yeah,
you got a good break. So I'd like to hit that one at the end of the year. Those are the big ones. We also do Schaumburg, NARBC. I think it doesn't. Last year it was messed up with our schedule. We had that Rochester Expo in Schaumburg the same weekend, so we can't miss our local show, especially with how good our local show is. So we had to skip Schaumburg, but I think this year Schaumburg's not scheduled with anything else. We hit St. Louis NARBC every year as well, and I've been contemplating doing Dallas again. So we did Dallas the first time it moved from Arlington to Dallas. It was not very good for us, and for most people there. I heard it was not very good. So we skipped it this last time around, and we probably will skip it the first time around in 25, but might go back at the end of 25, depending on how show sentiment is from the breeders and other people who just go. Those would be our like big hitters, would be the NARBCs we do, Troy and Bob shows, and there's not too much else we're looking at like national show wise.
Would you ever consider Daytona, or that's
vending? Probably not. Definitely going. Like I would love to continue to go to Daytona. Daytona is such a interesting show. So I was able to go this year. Obviously, met you there, and we talked for a bit. But the year prior and the year before that, we were supposed to go, and some scheduling issues and family like planning vacation issues ran into it. So I was like, okay. I was very happy to be able to go this past Daytona. And so we were about to book it this year, and I was like, let's go. I'm not missing a Daytona again. Looked at it. We got a family vacation the same weekend as Daytona. And I'm like, this is horrible. Because when we went to Daytona, it was right up there, like top 2, top 3 favorite show I've ever just been to. So I will miss Daytona this year, but I need to be back just to go. I don't know if it's worth vending for me, just being from New York. That was our problem with Dallas. Was first off, it just wasn't a great show, but also 23-hour car ride is hard, and I think Daytona is a 24-hour car ride, so it's not only taxing on the animals or showing and doing the show. It's your 3 or 4 days in the car pretty much. So that was Dallas was a tough drive.
Yeah, that has to be rough, bro.
Yeah,
it has to be rough. I should see you at Bob's show this year. Like, even if you don't come to February, I'll see you like in the fall, and I'll see you at Troy's show too. So that'll be dope.
Yeah. I gotta reach out. I've talked to Troy a million times. I think I will be out at least to one of the Colorado shows, not vending, but going out there to help him with some stuff. With we running part of selling tickets or something stupid. He was like, I'll fly you out and you just help around. And I was like, okay, cool. I get to go hang out at a snake show. So I want to go check that out. That's another one I'd love to do because I heard it was amazing, but Denver's 23 hours from me. So it's it's back to the farthest show we do is St. Louis consistently, which is 13 and a half hours. And that one's all right, drive wise and all that stuff. But 20 hours when we did Dallas was just a completely different monster for us. So we're thinking, 13 to 16 max for our like drives to shows, until maybe we hit the production quantity and quality that we want to make it worth, a 24-hour drive to Denver and Daytona and all that stuff with high confidence that will, if you sell really well and it's a great show, then it makes the drive home way easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, if we can get to that point, then we'll probably do them. But right now, it's not looking like those are on the table.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot to like factor in, and going that far, I can imagine. Like, I haven't traveled like with the animals yet, but just traveling across town with animals was like a whole thing in and of itself. So definitely, once you add the traveling with the animals to the show element and stuff like that, it's totally different. I know me just going to do the podcast, like I'd be exhausted after the show, and that's not even with the animals. So imagine once we start adding the animals to the equation, like it's gonna be a whole different thing. But yeah, man, definitely looking forward to seeing you at some of these shows this upcoming year for sure.
Yeah, Tinley, you can be at Tinley because I'll probably be the first one. Big show I'll be this year.
Yeah, March.
Yep.
It's awesome. Like the 20 something. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah.
Yeah, I got it locked in on the show schedule. So we never miss those.
Yeah, I think I got shows in nothing in January, no shows, but February, March, April, and then I'll be done with shows for a minute until like the fall.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how many shows we're going to be doing. It might be around 20 this year, 20 to 25, which is a lot. I think we've done 20. I think we did like 28 one year, and then this past year we did like 18 or something. We usually do 1 to 2 a month. I think we're averaged like literally 1.5 a month or something like that. So it can be hard sometimes to, be out of town 2 weekends out of the month, but we're going to be adding again new shows, taking off some of the shows that we've done before that might not have been so good, and trying again Bob's show, Troy's shows, seeing how those go. But yeah, we'll probably be at between 20 and 30 shows this year.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a good bit of shows. That's like more than every other weekend.
Yep. If we hit 30, it would be it'd be a lot.
Yeah, you definitely putting in the work, man. So you definitely lived up to the episode title, because like I said, man, been in it for like 8 years, like grinding with all the shows, and you talked about like your challenges and stuff like that. So you definitely putting in the work. So as far as like the business direction and growth over the next 5-10 years, where do you see yourself being kind of in that time frame?
So there's 2 ways I'm looking at right now. So the snake side, I don't have a set plan. Again, for me, it's year by year on growth, at least for right now. I'm not a very, hey, I want 150 clutches, kind of like we talked earlier. I'm going to hit hopefully 50 this year. And then if I say that's all right, if I keep saying that's all right, in 5 years, then I'll be at 150 or 200 clutches. We'll put it like that. If that workload is still good for, me and Dad. But the big growth for us, and this has not, again, been talked about or publicized anywhere, but our rodent facility. So the main thing we were going to do in the building, it was not going to be for snakes. It was going to be for rats.
Okay.
The demand out here is absolutely ridiculous. So we're expanding the rats like crazy. So that's mainly going to be the full-time gig. Snakes are going to be a little bit more of a side project, which is weird because I have 500 snakes,
right?
But the scale of rodents we're looking to do will definitely be where the growth is at, for me personally, and very much business wise. That could set a lot up for the snakes as well. But we're looking at majority income and majority growth is going to be on the rodent side over the next 5 years. I'm very excited about that. Rodents are dirty work, but I've literally been doing them since I was 13 years old. That was my first job on a rat farm, so I know how to do them. And I told myself I would never scrape another rat bin unless it was for myself when I left that job, and now I scrape a ton of rat bins for myself, so I'm happy with it. But yeah, I think growth wise on the snakes, we'll see how many snakes we keep going. My focus is just like cutting off the fat a little bit and continuing to have my holdbacks raise up and replace, trying to get into a cycle of breed, grow up, replace right now. And we'll see. I just want to keep producing, or start really to produce some of the more leading edge stuff. I think this 25 is going to be where I'll be producing some of the more leading edge stuff in specific projects. I'm very excited about that.
Nice. That's what's up, bro. Do you guys have a name for the rodent business?
So we've been going back and forth on a few things and meeting with lawyers. It was, hey, they should be under the same name, TTB and the rodents. They shouldn't be. When we were meeting with the town, you could only have one business in your house, so we couldn't have them two separate entities. Where it's looking right now, they're going to be two separate entities. I think Regional Rodent Supply is going to be it. Background on that name is, for me, I'm a very big thinker, and my goal is to have this facility that we're moving into be the first of many. I'm tied in with a lot of rodent breeders across the country, and the goal would be to have facilities spotted in locations that really need rodents, because that's a huge problem that I hear all of the time, all across the country. And that's, again, rodent prices for me are way different than rodent prices for you if you were buying them. Literally, I know there's people in Texas paying $5 for a small from breeders.
That's nuts.
That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And the problem I faced was, the guy I used to work for, when we got up to this size, it was, hey, I'm spending, $800 a week feeding some of these things, because his prices just kept going up and going up and going up and going up. And it's like, well, I know what it costs to make these things. You shouldn't keep inching them up. I worked for you, So that was my goal, is to just try and alleviate some of that pain for a lot of the breeders, because it is one of our biggest pains if you're not doing them yourself. And again, I think that in itself is also a pain. If 99% of people buy into snakes or buy into reptiles to have reptiles, they don't buy into snakes or reptiles to then have to go spend way more time and money on rodents. So, a lot of breeders I've talked to who do rodents, mostly on a small scale, is, hey, if I can produce you at, XYZ cost, would you stop breeding rodents? And it's, yeah, I would, because they take way too much of my time. They take money, but buying from someone else, as a current supplier, just doesn't make sense. So that's my goal, is to alleviate some of the pain where, if you don't want to, you don't have to spend all your time breeding rats or ASFs or whatever it is.
Gotcha. So obviously, like, with scaling up with rodent production, like, the numbers grow, the amount of things you have to clean grow, and so, like, all kind of that volume related stuff that kind of like jumps to mind when you think about like scaling up. But have you thought through and thought about like any of the other challenges that scaling up may bring, and if so, like, what are your plans for those?
The biggest problem that I'm going to have is, or I thought I was going to have, right now it actually looks amazing, but it's hiring. Hiring is going to be a big problem for rats, and that was a problem for my old boss. So his large, the turnover rate for employees of rodent breeding companies is probably the highest out of any job. I would just
probably
I'm taking that as a guess. But like, I worked there for 12 months, and I was pretty much, I was like the longest employee there. So by the time I left, I was, teaching people how to do this. And I was 13 years old, or 14 when I left. So I'm teaching, 35-year-old men, and most of them ex-convicts, who needed a first job, like all that stuff. I'm 14 years old and I'm teaching these people how to do that. Right. So I know that was my biggest problem when I came into it. Right now I'm actually looking very good on that side. I have 2 candidates lined up, like right now, right away, that when I need them, they'll be there. I thought that was going to be a huge issue, but it was literally the first, I put my app in. That's right. But yeah, he lives right down the road from me. He's a good buddy of mine.
Okay, that's what's up. He got some nice carpet stuff too.
Yeah, who I talked him into those.
Oh, for real?
But, yeah. But I thought that was going to be a huge problem, was employees, and it still might be. You know what I mean? I'm still months away from actually hiring and seeing how long people stay. But business school and personal life experiences taught me a couple things about employees and how to treat them, and how would I like to be treated as an employee of a rodent breeding facility. I know because I was one. That was probably the biggest challenge. And then the other one, it goes along like the employees are going to help, but just workload. Rats are so much more work, so much more time spent with them than the snakes, which again, I'm willing to do, but it might be a problem, is why I need to hire some people. Like the scale we're looking, literally I could be in there 24 hours a day and not get everything cleaned, fed, and watered. So you need other people. Delegation is going to be hard for me, right? Like I've been at the point where I've wanted someone to help in my current rat spot, but it's like, something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, it's my fault and I can beat myself up over it. But if someone else does it, then it's a different problem. Oh, there's a whatever flooded bin. Well, you should have, checked the nozzle, made sure this happened, made sure that happened. If someone else does it, then I'm, I got to be careful, kind of, which is hard, because that's another problem that I could see. But
yeah, I can definitely see that. Also, like I laughed when you said that turnover rate, like for rodent breeders, is probably like one of the highest one. It made me think of like a friend of mine here locally. Like he runs he's got a farm. He's got like a bunch of stuff on there, but he also like is kind of like a hub of rodents every week for local people. And so he'll get like shipments of rodents from like multiple breeders and kind of like divvy them up based on the orders. But he has to hire people too, because not only is he doing the rat stuff, he's got like a whole bunch of snakes, like several different bunch of species and stuff like that. But he says, man, getting people to do the rats is like one of the hardest things, because you're looking for like a special type of person most of the time, unless you find someone that's into reptiles. And then even sometimes then he like is not necessarily the best fit. And so I can definitely see it being a challenge, but it sounds like you're thinking about it already, which is like putting you like ahead of the game anyway.
It was literally the first thing I thought about, because within reason, my old boss, he had 2 giant problems, which was employees, and then his barn wasn't fully secured. So he lived on farm, so wild rats would get in all the time, chew lines, and so those were his 2 big problems. But the ones I'm focused on, because the other one's already taken care of, is employees. So literally the first thing I sat down and thought about, and what I thought about was, I need another me, which doesn't really, obviously it doesn't exist, but
right.
I want someone who's young, passionate about reptiles, who I can give some incentive to work here, which is what I got. And I have one of those people 100% is Alex. Like very, very motivated individual, smart kid, hard worker. So he will hopefully, and he's already volunteered, so hopefully he will be the first hire. And there's another person very local who worked at some pet shops around here, mostly in the rat small animal department. So I'm like, and she has reached out to me and
Oh, nice.
found interest in that. So I'm like, okay, perfect. And what you just got to do is make it as nice as possible and a very not sexy industry. You know what I mean? I'm excited. And that was, literally the first problem. I went, yep, I got to do this.
But yeah, that's what's up, man. I love what you're doing. I love the moves that you're making. I love the way you're approaching it and thinking things through. You know what I mean? That's very that's dope, man. So definitely love what you're doing. Appreciate what you're doing too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of time. Business school helped. Looking into specific things, be a little more detailed. But yeah, I'm usually pretty detail oriented on the numbers and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I try and think of everything. And I'm again a pessimistic guy, so I'm thinking of everything that can go wrong and how to fix it.
But you think about how to fix it though. That's the important part. Shit gonna go wrong, but what you gonna do? So yeah, that's a dope approach, man. Before we get out of here, man, let everybody know where they can find you.
Best ways to find me are and get in contact. Tyler's Toxic Balls on Instagram, Tyler's Toxic Balls on Morph Market. If you're interested in anything there, shoot me a message. And little plug, I do a podcast every Wednesday with Holly from Texoma Exotics. So
shout out to Holly.
Tune in there every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern. But yeah, shoot me a DM on Instagram if you want to reach me. Available animals are on Morph Market. Thank you for having me on, man. It was a pleasure. And very, very happy with how it went today, man.
Thank you, bro, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's long overdue, man. So definitely appreciate getting the opportunity to sit down, chop it up with you. Definitely don't want this to be the last time. We definitely got to do round 2. Looking forward to it, and be seeing you soon, bro.
Yeah, see you, man.
I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody out there. Thanks to everybody who showed out for the live chat. Big shout out to the replay gang. Make sure y'all drop a comment. Let us know you were here. Also, big shout out to the audio only listeners, man. We really appreciate it. But that's going to be it for tonight for Clutch Conversations. I'm Mike. That's the homie Tyler. The lovely lady behind the scenes is Takar. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.